I'm your host, Brendan Brown. Today we got another special guest, Bailey Moore. Bailey Moore, welcome to the show. How you been doing? And explain yourself.
I've been doing great. I've been doing great. Just working. Just working. My name is Bailey Moore. I am a 15-year-old children's book author, motivational speaker, CEO, entrepreneur, artist, many things. I have my own publishing company, Be More You Publishing, and I have a total of three children's books, and I have a comic book on the way. I'm also part of several organizations. I have my own podcast myself. And yeah, that's me.
That's good. That's good. You got a lot of stuff to say here.
Yeah.
I only saw it throughout, your website and everything you do on social media, but I didn't know you were all that stuff, an artist and everything like that, man. Boy, if I would have known all that, I sure would have add some more things on these questions here, but I'll try to incorporate them in here if I can. But, the first thing I want to say before anything, comic books. That's amazing, man, because I just recently had a guest who was just doing comic books on Dijon. I had Dijon Strickland, not Smith. Dijon Strickland. He was on here and he was talking about how, he's talking about how basically he was doing comic books as well. He had a book called Team Tech Boy and another book called Science Girl. And basically it talks about hero. The first book, of course, was about a superhero. Second book was about his little sister, and having that female empowerment as well, XYZ. And, that's amazing. And, what you do in your comic book, that is amazing. So, what got you into really doing comic book? Was it like your author journey and stuff like that got you into that? Or you just really was passionate about that for a while?
Yeah. I mean, well, honestly, really the main reason why I wanted to do a comic book was because the art aspect of it, drawing, doing the illustrations, because recently I've really gotten into just drawing and doing different types of art, and I was like, you know what, I think it's about time. I think I'm a little bit better. I wanna show my art to the public, so I wanted to make a comic book. Yeah, just mainly for like the art aspect, and of course, I've been writing my entire life, so that wasn't a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. And then with you doing your books and stuff like that, did writing always been, because you say you did when you were you for a while. So was writing something you always liked since elementary or like middle school or something like that?
Yeah. So of course, in school we have to learn how to write, but like writing became a passion when I was younger because my parents, they had divorced, and I wasn't acting right at school. I was acting out. I didn't know how to express myself properly, but grandfather, he got me into writing. Writing was a way to get that to get those emotions out. And then so I would just fill up notebooks of just different stories, make up my own characters. That's how I started writing my books. Writing has always been a passion for me. I still like to write now.
That's good to hear, man. And then what you're also saying about how writing is something we have to do in school. For me, I respect you so much for the writing aspect because, I like writing myself. When I was in about elementary school, it was like you always forced to do it. And like, I didn't realize it till middle school that I actually had liked writing. It's just that I never liked the aspect of being forced to doing a criteria. I don't like to do a criteria. I'd rather be more creative, more amazing. And then once I got to eighth grade in middle school, and I had my eighth grade teacher by the name of Miss Price, that was her name. She made us do creative things like poems, long essays that weren't boring, of course, like our own passionate essays. And then once in a while we had to prep for like exams and stuff. Most of the time she tried to make us be creative, make our own stories and stuff. And that's why, ever since eighth grade, and that was around 2019, late 2019 or early 2020 season, right before COVID, that's why I really got my passion of writing. And then, around COVID time, I used to write a lot. Even before COVID, I think I used to write like a lot of stuff. I still got some papers in my drawer. I was looking at them, some archives where I was talking about like where I want my success journey to be at. And, looking at it now, it's kind of some of the stuff I wrote down 3 years ago are kind of being fulfilled right now as we're speaking. And so, that's why I really like the fact that, you said you enjoy writing because I really enjoy writing. And also for me, just like you, well, for me, I'm not an author yet, but I'm going to be an upcoming author soon because I'm actually working on a book right now and I'm trying to publish and release later this year. And also I had another book I was working on as well, which will be released. Actually, no, my bad. The first book I made was around late 2021, early 2022. That should be released this year. And then book I'm working on now should be released around next year because I just can't release them yet because I'm not 18 yet. So once I turn 18 in November, then I can legally be able to make my own money from the book, from through via Amazon and XYZ and get everything out through there, and just do that.
on Amazon too.
Yeah, so that you can publish your stuff. So yeah, but with your books, because I know that your books have different themes and things, and
Yeah,
that's the awesome thing about it. You're bringing value to your audience and everything like that, trying to connect with them in an authentic way. But not just through reading, but you also encourage others through speaking. So
right.
where does your speaking journey all came from? Your motivational speaking and everything.
Ooh, that's so funny. Okay, so first, I just want to say that I didn't want to start speaking. I never wanted to do that. I could not. I couldn't even speak in front of my friends. I could never.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking was never my thing. Honestly, I didn't want to do it at first. I didn't. I'm not gonna lie. My I had like as I was selling a lot of books and my books were becoming really popular in Houston, and a lot of people like you said, they seen the value, they seen the messages, the morals inside my books. It was like, this is really motivational, you should go out there, you should speak about this. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
no, no, never. But my mom was like, look, it's a good opportunity, you should go do it. And I was like, okay, mom knows best. She actually got me a shout out to Mr. Patton. He was my speech coach. He got me a speech coach because just to teach me how to be able to speak in front of people and properly present something. And it helped a lot. Like, I got really far in my speaking engagements. I was able to speak at so many places. I've practically spoken at half the schools in Houston, maybe all of them, and I've been able to speak at Barbara Bush's one of our funeral and things like that. It's like I've been able to do a lot with my motivational speaking, and it was a cool experience. I've been able to meet more people. I know people like you. I know other entrepreneurs simply because going out to speak. I've been able, it was a great experience. Yeah,
Yeah, that's good. With the help of your speech coach, that's awesome because a lot of motivational speakers don't really talk about that, especially introverted ones. For me, actually, personally, now that you said that, I may actually look into that. I might look into the speech coach because for me, it's not
yeah,
that I'm introverted, but it's more of like that like I can speak to my friends and everything like that, or speak to family, or speak to anybody. But like when it comes to like a big crowd, I tend to like either like have a brain fog or either well, I'll go back to
I've
it.
had
Yeah,
that.
a
Man,
little bit of my introverted side may kick in. And
right,
for me, I'm personally both. I'm an introvert and an extrovert, so I'm an ambivert, so I can be both ways. And that's
same
why
thing.
that's awesome. That's good
Yeah,
skill.
I can relate, and I feel like people just like they get nervous. Period, when they're in front of a bunch of people. Of course, some people don't. But
Yeah.
yeah, and there's been plenty of times where I've done practice my speech. I've got it down, and then I go up stage and I've frozen up. But I eventually get it out. So, but yeah, speaking definitely helped me, and I felt like speaking also just helped me find myself. Just kind of be talk more, be more out there, be able to communicate better. It was honestly, it helped me out overall. It shifted my personality. Like, I was quiet when I was little, but now I can walk up to somebody, start talking to them, and I'll be friends with them the next minute. It's just it helped a lot. So
Yeah, and that's good because I was like I said, I was just like you. When I was younger, I was a quiet guy. I would never think of me as this motivational podcast host, upcoming author guy. Who would think
yeah,
10 years ago I would be like this? And vice versa with you. Who would think that you would be like this? You probably never thought yourself. I never thought myself I'd be doing this. I thought when I was younger I would be an actor or a police officer.
I said I wanted to be a football player,
Yeah,
part of the
yeah.
NFL.
But look at God. Look at God. Look how he change, not change really, but look how he led us to what we're doing now, and then also networking with each other and relating on one another with like our journey. And that's another thing I just want to say. Are you authentic with your audience?
Authentic, okay, yeah, 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 for sure.
Okay, I was just saying, how do you be authentic with them? Like, what's your way of being authentic with them?
oh yeah,
And
yeah,
if
yeah.
you're
Okay,
not
okay, I
authentic
get
with
you.
them, how could you improve on it?
Well, honestly, I'm always authentic. I'm always original. I'm always real. I'm gonna
Okay.
everything's real about me. Nothing's fake. That's for sure. And everything I'm passionate about it. everything that I put out there, it's something that I really want to do, or it's something that I really believe in. Like my podcast, I have two. Um, there and there, both about things that I really believe in, and I feel like that people should know. Things that people should know about. Like my first one, it's about bridging the gap between the two different generations. I know from experience, like our generation, so older generation and my generation, we have different opinions, and we often
Yeah.
fight over it when we don't need to. And I feel like creating a podcast for that, could get people an idea. It could bring people together and tear them apart. So that's how I am. I just like to spread messages, things that will bring positivity and help people. Also, I mean, just being me, period. Like recently, if you go to my personal page, you will start to see who I really am. I'm goofy. I'm an artist. A lot of people didn't know that I was an artist or that I drew a lot, but I started pinning that on my business page and on my personal page. Um, just being myself. Honestly, that's how I'm authentic. I just want people to get to know me, my business. I want them to know what I'm about and what I believe in. And
Yeah. And I can tell you're a goofy person from that first time we had met through that IG live. I remember
yeah.
when she was like, "Hey, what you doing?" Jay Brill, yeah. She was like, "Hey, what you doing?" And you're like, "Okay." I was like, "Okay, these two are like sitting here talking like a little cartoon." People be like
Yeah.
the sister and the brother. They're like, I was like, "Oh man, that reminds me. That's how y'all are." And I was like, "What?" Yeah, man. I like both of y'all personality. Y'all. What's that word I like to say? What actors do too? Whenever on scene, they're complimenting each other. Like they're
I
not
don't know
like
the word, but I know what you're
not
talking about. Like
not
they
not
naturally just click. Yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah, not like as in like like literally complimenting each other, but like your approach. Like if you bring this person in, their presence in both of their presence, it basically like
Yeah.
it adds more texture to like the basis of what you're trying to explain. And that's how it
Right.
is with
Yeah.
y'all too. Like I think of y'all as a good duo. Like without if it's one of y'all doing something, I just feel like it's not as strong
I
when y'all
mean,
both come together. In my opinion
that
now.
is
That's my
true. I mean, we doing a lot of stuff now. We have she shout out to Jay Brielle because she just did her
yeah.
YBK day and it turned out really good. She had amazing entrepreneurs and vendors up there, Evans performances and everything. Y'all need to
Mm-hmm.
come next year. That was amazing. It was a good experience. And then of course we're having a sort of like a back to school jamboree, a back to school party before school starts, just to get
Mm-hmm.
the kids, teens hyped up for school. So yeah, we have stuff coming up. That's for sure. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And as this recording, guys, please make sure to go follow him on Instagram so you all can see it and be updated as this recording.
Mm-hmm.
So with the podcast, with you and Jay Brielle starting that podcast, how has it been going, and why did y'all even start the podcast?
It was good. It's been going good. The only reason why we haven't been releasing episodes recently is because we both have our own schedule and we have things that we have to do, but we're going to go right back into it. Of course, we have other stuff that we were doing together. So, um, yeah, I mean, we're still working and we have our own schedules and things like that. But reason why we started, well, it's we our parents had got us together because I guess we were out at an entrepreneur event, and our parents had connected and things like that. They were networking, found out that she was an entrepreneur. She was doing a lot of things. I was doing a lot of things, and we both were doing things similar to each other. Um, so we decided to come together and we wanted to do a podcast. We had a meeting and we sat down and talked about, okay, what can we do to partner up together, as a business. And we want to do a podcast that teens can relate to. And then also, for parents to look at too, because maybe you don't understand your teen, but just teen topics, things that we can relate to, things that we can laugh at. Um, yeah, pretty much it. That's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
And then when you talk about teens, I think that's another thing too for me as a young person. I gotta know how to like figure out my audience. So that's why I'm really glad that you said that because for me, I've always wanted to do self improvement, self help, and everything, and always wanted to help the youth. but with also helping the youth, sometimes you have to be relatable. I'm not saying that you have to play big rap music or something like that just to be relatable, because that's just cliche-ish sometimes to some people, are kind of offensive, if you just do rap. But I'm just saying sometimes you may have to, just figure out how to connect with a teen. Besides of course just rapping, but like connect with them, like as I'm talking about like everyday things, or like talking about the topic of Riz, that people are saying, or like
Oh man,
other topic
never.
of like what is it, like gaming streamers, like people talk about streamers, I guess. It's like, so you got to find a way to just really connect with them and talk about those type of things, or use those analogies, I guess, to tell them about self help and things. So with
Yeah,
you saying that, it made me thought about that more. I got to really figure out a deeper connection of connecting with other people besides just these interviews, but also myself whenever I'm recording an episode by myself. Just standing up, speaking. If y'all see the YouTube videos, that's what I usually do, to stand up and speak and XYZ. But with that, that's really good. You're doing a podcast and everything. And when did y'all start the podcast? Like what year y'all started?
we started late last year, late 2022.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So y'all brand new then, because I've been doing this. I've been doing this
yeah, yeah,
podcast and stuff since
we're
2020. So I can teach y'all a little bit of like video podcasting, audio podcasting, because like
yeah. I mean, we had you on before, so
yeah, yeah.
but yeah,
So
we're pretty new. We just started, so we plan to do more stuff outside of that, outside of just the podcast,
yeah,
for things that the youth can do as well. So
and that makes sense, because that's what I'm trying to do as well with me. Because like I did the podcast for so many years, and I had to realize that I needed to expand. Me. And speaking of that, back to the friend I was telling you about earlier, who lives in Texas. My friend Jeremiah. We were just talking about that the other night ago, how with our podcast, we got to learn how to expand, because me and him, all we do is podcasting all the time. And like, we don't know how to expand. And like, we're now figuring out, of course, now since we're older. And for me personally, I figured out my way of expanding, which is like, doing books, interacting with
yeah,
other collaborators, a lot of teens who are following their purpose, things like that. And, I think that's just a crucial thing that people need to know, especially the audience here, as you're watching this episode and learning. If you're trying to do anything, just try to figure out how to expand on it, or try to make it even more valuable. Like a basketball player, they can play basketball, but it's always good for them to have at least sponsors, like at least have like
right,
like Steph
yeah,
Curry with Subway or Under
and
Armour. Like have more of your personality out there. Like have different ways of how you express yourself, because Steph Curry loves Subway. Steph Curry does Under Armour because Under Armour helped him so much better than Nike. And like XYZ, just like that, for example.
oh yeah, let me say my thing on that. Like for me, expanding, starting when I was 9, yeah, I went to a lot of vendor events, and of course, when you were selling your product and people buy it, and you post things on your social media and things like that, of course, you get a little expansion. But networking is really important as well. Networking is so important because you meet certain people who have like very important people who have connections with other very important people or cool people or people that are doing things similar to you, and then you guys can collab, or they will help you and they will give you more opportunities. So yeah, that's how I really expanded. For example, me and Jordan, we both have similar interests and we want to do similar things. We networked and now we are doing things together, and obviously she's doing her own thing, she's doing great by
Yeah,
herself, and so us together is like, that's even better. So
yeah,
yeah, networking is really important. And just I suggest that you take your time to research and look up things for you to do, because just sitting there and posting on social media, to be honest, it's not enough.
yeah,
um Especially like for me, I have books. That's not enough. You have to go out there, you have to go look for it, you have to work hard for it, you have to grind for it. Sometimes you might want to quit. I admit it was very hard for me at times, but you gotta grind for it, you have to work for it. Networking is really important. I can't believe I'm saying that. And just a couple of years ago, I would be scared to just walk up to somebody to ask them, hey, here's my business card. But yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty much it. Networking is really important.
And
That's how
that's
you
true,
expand.
man. That's true, man. Because like for me personally, where I'm located at in South Carolina, you can't really. There's not really a lot of stuff out here, because like we're kind of like really small. So like I can't really network like how I should. So But I'm just saying for anyone else, of course, like Bailey Moore said, network with anybody. But with you, Bailey Moore, just speaking from my point of view here, I can't really network with nobody as of now because like I'm located in a state that's really not that big. Really doesn't really have a lot of content
That's
creators,
unfortunate.
a
That's
lot of
very bad.
business.
That's messed up.
Yeah, because
Cause
like our state is not really like it's like there probably are a lot of business events around here and stuff that I probably don't know, but like it's not like recognizable or like out there because
yeah,
like we're so small, we're a small state, and then also like a lot of people from my experience of being down here, a lot of people mostly just want to do sports as a way of being successful, or like doing
yep,
an average traditional route like engineering or medical
right.
field. Nobody's really trying to really do like author, motivational speaker, or
And
other passionate stuff.
then there's like other people like yourself or like me who have ideas and who are creative, who are entrepreneurs, who have great minds, and they're just passionate about what they want to do. They're different from everybody, and they
Yeah.
have so much potential, but because of their environment and where they are, they're not so lucky. They can't just get those connections and opportunities as easily as other people. And I can say I'm one of those lucky people because Houston is full of opportunities. There is so many people. There's so many great people now, celebrities, famous people, people who are known around the world who have come from Houston. And even if they're not all over the world, they're known inside their community. They're a legend. And it honestly just depends where you are, but that doesn't mean that you should give up or you shouldn't keep on trying, that's for sure. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm one of those lucky people, and that's kind of messed up that depending where you are, it also um, like just affects your opportunities and your potential and where you could go with your life. So
And
yeah,
most definitely, like you say, don't give up. And then also, that's
yeah,
why I adore the internet so much because, I didn't really start using social media till 2020. And around 2020, I was just casually using Instagram and TikTok. But around 2021, that's when I really started to be like, okay, let me really be serious with it because in January 2021, I decided I found my niche. I realized doing self improvement was the topics I wanted to do. That's what I want to do. I said, let me be an influencer XYZ and not just, casually be on Instagram or whatever, or casually make random podcast episodes, different niches. But to get to the point here, back to what you're saying with networking, like you say, it's just it is not lucky. I like to always say bless. My grandmother always told me, don't ever think of luck, think of blessings. If you know what you know, you know. But you were really blessed to be in a state like that, man. Because like I tell you, like you say, and like I said too, these areas, certain areas not really a lot of people. Like I'm from South Carolina, and there is only like two celebrities that came from here, like Chadwick Boseman, and I think like who else was from here. I don't know. I think Chris Rock, if I'm not mistaken. But that's basically it. You don't really have that much, celebrities down here and stuff like that. It ain't so much about celebrities, but like you say, the fact that you have a big environment to network with, and that's why that goes back to what I was saying earlier about how I say I'll fly down and see y'all and stuff and network with other people I know around this world, like other motivational speakers like, Real MJ or Shaquille Jackson, XYZ, those
yeah,
circle groups of people we know, Ben Wong, try to interact with each one of them in person, and see what I can do. And also while I'm there, if I find anyone else who's out there doing the same thing, network with them as well. Because like I say, man, you know, you are very limited. But the good thing is, thank God we have these because these are the best things to help us network with other people around the world. If we
yeah,
don't have a good area or a good surrounding, but that's why when I get older, man, I really can't wait to just move somewhere else, and not just be down here in South Carolina because and it's not here for me. This was a good foundation for me to find my friends and things like that. And I do have a few friends that do content creation, but like most of them aren't really that consistent. Only like a few of them, and like I say, is I really got to find my people and my niche, or not in my niche, just doing the things I got to do throughout traveling the world, maybe just living somewhere else, And like I said, the
yeah.
internet's also helped too because I met you and Jordan and everybody else, So yeah, how do you balance out your passionate life while also balancing out your life doing content creation and everything like that? Because I know you say you work and you do everything and you go to school and stuff, and then also you do this author and motivational speaking and everything like that. So how do you balance out all those?
Um, well, I'll say in the past, uh, especially since I was younger, it was a little bit harder than it is now. Since I was still going to school, and I was, my mom always said, school first. But yeah, there would be times where I would have to sacrifice some time from school in order to go to speaking engagements and vendor events, and just expand and promote my business and things like that. I was able to handle it. Of course, it was stressful at times, and sometimes I was like, man, I don't even want to do this no more. But because it was my passion and I was really passionate about it, I kept on going. I kept on doing it, and eventually over time, it got better. I'm now I like to incorporate my passion in my business in my daily life. Like I'll be somewhere, or I'll see something motivational, or I'll see something like a piece of art. I love art. I'll just take a picture of it, put some inspirational words, and put it on my Instagram. Or I simply just talk from the heart. I remember for a while in the beginning of the year, I would just try my best to record a video about something that I learned that day, or something that just a piece of information that I wanted to share. So now I just like to incorporate it in my daily life. It's not even me trying to balance it at this point. It's just what I do now. It's not even like that. I don't even stress over it no more.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, when you were saying that, that actually really hit me back at home here, in the heart, because I realized, that's what I'm doing too, and I never knew. Now that you talk about that, I do incorporate motivation, wherever I go. Rather if it's just me casually speaking to somebody, rather if it's just me casually walking to school, casually walking, outside somewhere, I always try to think that motivational way. I'm not trying to say I'm perfect or anything. I know you ain't perfect either. We're all human. We all make mistakes. But when we out there, we try to think the good side, think the positive aspects. Try not to really think the negative. And what you're saying, and it really opened up my mind and realized that I actually do the same thing as well, man. And a lot of you as the audience, we do that too. And that's the thing that all of us need to learn. Even the audience, continue just to have that positive aspect in your life. And even if you try to balance out this stat and balance out this different side of your life, it's always okay to try or at least see if you can incorporate both. Because, like I say, I go to school and I still promote my YouTube and everything like that. And now it's like ever since I went to school, my stuff just shoot up. Like literally, I'm not lying. Like after I went to school, it's like everything just went up fast. And I'm like, okay. And some of that comes from random people too on the internet looking at my stuff too, like y'all. But I think it was because of the fact that I met people in person, they were able to share it and boost that algorithm stuff because before going to school, I built the following naturally, just straight up out the gate from my computer or my phone, never from in person talking, unless like I met people through the internet to share something like that. But yeah, man. And then the question I forgot to ask earlier, now that came back to my mind when you were talking about networking and people, how is it learning teamwork, and what's your experience or advice that you want to give on teamwork because you worked with Jordan?
On teamwork, teamwork is really important. Collaborating is just important in general, and yeah, like I said earlier, it gives you a lot more opportunities, and it just helps you. I remember, and shout out to Mr. Mark, the owner of the Breakfast Club. I used to. Every Saturday, he just used to let me sell. He used to have these vendor events every Saturday, and I would just sell my books there. And I decided to take it upon myself, despite being very shy. I would just walk up there and just talk to him, like. And it came to the point where he became my mentor. We were just talking like I've known him my entire life, and he gave me a great opportunity for one of my book signings. He allowed me to use his space, and it turned out to be a great book signing. And it was teamwork. He catered the food, and of course I had my things, and it turned out to be a great event. And the people that came enjoyed it. Everything was great. The visuals were great, and it everything turned out great. Me shout out to Mr. Sheldon Thurgood. He's also another entrepreneur and my mentor, and we have a podcast together. And so a podcast that I feel inspires, motivates, informs other people, and it just brings people together. It spreads positivity. That's what I feel like teamwork can do. Teamwork can do a lot. So.
And then also, with that podcast, I forgot to mention that one. Now that you mentioned that, my bad for that. The Whatever It Takes podcast, how is it co-hosting two podcasts?
Two podcasts? Well, not much, not really different. It's just now that I had a podcast every week. That's the only difference. I still had fun. It was still a good experience. Nothing really changed. Um, it was great. It was great. It turned out great. So yeah, it was. Did I was I ever stressed out about it? Nah, because it was something that I was really passionate about. So.
Okay. And then have you experienced failure, which I believe you did? And if you did, what are some risks you had took, to do to become who you want to become? What were those progression steps?
Um, well, if I, as far as failure, man, okay, boom, I got it. I have three examples for you, man. Three. First, just this is just a small one. Whenever I go out to a vendor event and I don't sell any books, okay, that can be considered a failure. Even though I mean that's just, I guess I'll just throw that out there, but it's not really a failure to me because at the end of the day, most of the time when I do go to an event and I don't sell any books, I end up networking a lot more than I usually do. So yeah, I don't really see it as a failure, but I guess that could be one. Another one, I had invested a lot of time and money into trying to make my own animation for my first book, and it did not go well. We ended up canceling it, and we did not do the animation. That was like a whole entire year of work. Another failure, my comic book. It's going great now, and I'm actually finished putting the final touches on it, and it will be released this year. But I can't tell you how many times I've redrawn, I've rewritten my entire comic book. I've had to set back deadlines at the deadlines to make sure that I was satisfied with it, or yeah, that I was satisfied with it. I remember I did over a 30, 50 page comic book. This was one of my earlier versions, and I scrapped all of it. And boy, I was disappointed, really disappointed, because it was like, man, I worked really hard and I put a lot of time into it, and it wasn't good enough. And so I was like, man, nah. I guess, and I happened three times, by the way, three times. But I promise you, it's good this time. It's good this time. It's good this time. But yeah, it's happened about three times, so that can be considered a failure. But what I learned from it, first example, networking is really important. Second example, nothing that I can really learn from that. I guess I can just a few things that I can adjust. And then of course, as far as my comic book, I learned that I just need to stop setting such, like, set high expectations for yourself, but don't make sure they're not too much. And just be satisfied with your work. Like, instead of worrying about what people are going to think about it, you should just throw it out there and be like, man, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. And then, what's next for you? Are there any new upcoming projects, new directions you're going to? And man, you already referenced comic book, and then you already referenced you got other events to go to. But like, if you want to get deeper, what's next for you?
Hmm. Let me see. All I can think of, yeah, would be um, that event with Jabriel, our little bit with Embry, comic book Bailey Seymour Day. I don't know. I didn't mention my own day for some reason. Yes, I have my own day in Houston on September 9th, but September 10th is when I will be doing the event. And we every year I partner up with U of H, and we have like a free bowling event, and we have our free food and yeah, free music, everything. So, and that's also the day I will be releasing my comic book. So it's like a book signing slash Bailey Seymour Day event. So that's coming up. That's really big. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I can think of at the moment.
You talked about you being an artist, so go deep into that. What led you into doing rapping and or making music? I mean, and
Oh,
all that stuff.
you're mistaken. I'm not that type of artist. I am a. I like to draw.
Oh
My
gosh,
bad.
dang it. Oh my
Okay.
gosh, this is and I heard you
And
say art
wait,
in the
wait, but
beginning. I gotta
hold on.
come.
Just the other day. I was just chilling drawing. you know, I started just making a beat or whatever. I was like, hold on, be kind of fire. Wait, I can actually make up my no, but I'm not really a music. I'm not a music artist. I don't think I would want to be a music artist. I can't
Yeah,
sing. I can't rap. I ain't got no rhythm. Can't dance. That's for sure. I don't got no tempo or rhythm. But yeah, I like to draw. And anime, I got into it by anime, and it just started off. It started at the beginning of the pandemic, actually. And I would just sit there and watch anime, and I would redraw the coolest scenes I could find. And then it came to a point where it was sort of similar to what writing was for me, a way to really stress, express feelings, and put all my creativity onto a piece of paper. And now it's become a passion, a very strong passion. I feel like that I'm going to have for the rest of my life. Possibly, I would probably take a career path in the field of of art. Um, yeah, it's become something I'm very passionate about. I want to explore different mediums, which is just different types of art. And yeah, so I really enjoy art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you watch anime before? Well, I'm gonna tell you this:
Yes.
I never watched anime, and I think it's trash. I'm
Yeah,
just joking. That's not trash.
I don't want to be on this podcast anymore. Bye bye.
I'm just joking. I'm just
I'm
joking.
just playing. That's playing. I'm just playing.
I never watched anime, but let me tell you this: I don't think it's trash, but I just never watched it before. To be honest with you, like I only
Yeah,
like
it's sort
Avatar.
of just like a Japanese cartoon. So it's
Yeah,
just like it can be a little bit over dramatic sometimes. But yeah,
they're
it's
like
just
it's like that, like
yeah.
that. Like, you can't put anime
Yeah.
in real life. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That cannot be live
No,
action.
no, that's for sure. I mean, it just depends on the type of fan. But yeah, I
Yeah,
like that. I've always liked anime.
yeah,
Well, no, I got into it about during the pandemic about 3 years ago. So,
yeah.
yep.
And then with you being an entrepreneur, what are you an entrepreneur of? I know you have your books. I know you have your heart. I know you have your comic books. I know you have your books, podcast, XYZ. But what made you become an entrepreneur? What are you an entrepreneur of? And what do you want to own in the future?
Um, hmm. Like I said, I would probably take a career path in art. So, I like to act a little. I'm also into dance. But of course, I have my own books and things like that. You in just to make sure you asked me what I want to be an entrepreneur of.
Yeah, of.
Yeah. Well, as you know, right now I'm an author, children's book author. I'm an artist, things like that. But in the future, I'll probably have. I could be an animator. I could be a professional dancer if I took the proper classes. Hey, maybe a music artist. I have a guitar that I haven't touched yet, so I don't
And you're
know.
a dancer. Some artists can be dancing like Michael Jackson and doing.
That too. That's another form of art.
Yeah.
Um, I can continue writing comic books, illustrating and writing comic books. I want to have my own art store. That's for sure. If I don't do anything else with my life, I will want to have my own art store. And it's not just a store where we just have the supplies for it. It's a store where we can allow kids just to be creative, the youth to be creative. They can take classes, courses. We'll have workshops and things like that. That's definitely something that it's like a last resort kind of thing, if you know what I mean. So, yeah,
And
that's
that's
a
the
plan
thing.
B.
And that's the thing. You need to make sure you write your goals down. The audience need to know this watching this, and you need to know this as well. And I need to know this as well. But you need to know this too, because you're saying all these stuff, but you need to write this down, man. If you're not writing it down now, write them down, because you got a lot of
I'll try.
successful
I'll
stuff.
remind myself every day.
Huh?
Yeah, I remind myself every day. So yeah, as long as as I say, passionate about it, I'll continue, to keep it in mind and plan and prepare for it. So
Yeah, yeah. And then my last question, because I know I just asked all my audience this. This may hit you home, but what do you want your legacy to be?
Whew. Yeah, you're right. Hold
I
on.
know, I know, I know. Every time I get somebody, they're like, oh, ow, ow. I'm like, am I hurting you? Like, I mean, the
Wait,
first few
hold
people I
on,
did,
hold
it was
on.
easy. But you and the rest of these people I had, they're like, wow. I was like, okay, like,
Because this is a deep one. Because that
yeah,
means when I leave this earth, what do I want people to remember? Well, honestly, if I'm being for my personal life, I just want people to remember me as a caring person. I just be. I was myself. I was myself. And if you like me, you like me. And that's I always spread positivity, even if I make mistakes. I'm all in the good. Everything is for good intention. It's good intentions. As far as my business, do I want to expand on that in the future? Yes, of course. I have several other careers. To be honest with you, I don't think I have a proper answer for you yet. I'm going to be real. I don't know. I haven't sat down and thought about it because I don't know exactly what I want to do yet. Of course, I always have my business. I always have my business, my podcast, and things like that. But besides that, I can't give you a solid answer. I can tell you what I want my future goals to be, my dreams, but what I want to be known as, I don't know yet. But I promise you, I will get back to you, and I will give you a solid answer
okay,
because yeah, that's a really
yeah,
deep question, and I'm glad that you asked that because now you're making me think about it.
yeah.
And
Well,
my answer is I don't know yet, which is a problem, and I'm going to work on it. I'm going to give you a solid answer.
yeah. Thank you for coming on this show, Bailey Moore. You're welcome to come on again. Guys, make sure to go follow him. Make sure to go follow the link tree and everything. And make sure to go follow their Instagram video where I was featured on their show before.
All right.